People give the Zack Snyder DCU movies all the hate, but I'd say Watchmen is the superhero movie Zack Snyder directed that deserves that hate. Watchmen, directed by Zack Snyder, and is the 2009 movie adaptation of the DC graphic novel of the same name. So Watchmen tells the story taking place in a alternative United States in 1939, where Soch is investigating circumstances in how one of his colleagues met a untimely demise, but in doing so, he uncovers the most shocking of revelations, and he even forms a team with Laurie, Night Owl, and Dr. Manhattan. This review has been long requested by one of my awesome subscribers, Ben. Sorry I have been prolonging this movie review for so long at this point, but I finally have enough free time to sit down and do a movie review for Watchmen. So this may be the most highly requested movie review on my channel, period. Now, you all know me as a Zack Snyder and DC fanboy. So why wouldn't I love Watchmen? You would think your jaws are about to drop further to the floor than they ever have before, because I couldn't care less about this movie. I'm not saying that Zack Snyder made one of the worst superhero movies in history or anything like that. But Watchmen for me would be the least interesting and weakest superhero flick that Zack Snyder has ever directed. I would take Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman and Justice League over Watchmen any day of the week. At least those movies had epic entertainment value, weren't over long, and were easy to get plot wise. But Watchmen is 100% the opposite of those things. Watchmen it was originally a graphic novel that was not designed to ever be adapted on the big screen. That was the purpose of the graphic novel, to show that you could make a comic that could never be translated to film. But Zack Snyder attempted it anyway, and that is a daring task. But while Watchmen may be a perfect adaptation of the comic, that doesn't make it a perfect movie. You need to inject some fun into this overly grim source material. Watchmen has a total lack of light relief and jokes in it at all. And that makes it one of the trickiest superhero movies to sit through ever for me. Though I am immensely stunned by this movie's art style. Visually, it is the perfect depiction of the Watchmen graphic novel. It's as if Zack Snyder brought the comic book to the physical world by magic. And I did care for three of the characters. Um, Laurie, Zorik, and Dr. Manhattan. And Zorik's death was the and Zorik's death was the one time in the movie you feel something as his character is uh, uh, is the one who is setting out to resolve things and guess answers. And what a gory fate he receives when he requests Doctor Manhattan to kill him, and then he explodes into blood. But but I do think Zack Snyder made Watchmen into more of a horror movie than a superhero movie. Some fans are going to dig this movie for being so hardcore, but there needs to be a restriction on how hardcore you can be. Like, there's one scene in a jail where this dude is putting his hands, attempting to put his hands through the bars, and this cop just saws his arms off. This isn't Saw. This is freaking Watchmen. You can see why nobody talks about this superhero team today, yet everybody still talks about the Avengers and the Justice League, because the Watchmen characters from both the comic and the movie have no distinct qualities. Laura, sure, she's such a badass, but her character design is a rip-off of Rogue from X-Men, and Dr. Manhattan, his character design is a utter rip-off of the genie from Aladdin, and Night Owl, his costume is entirely a watered down version of Batman, and even Rorschach, our protagonist, he just looks like a slender man with a hat and coat. I, I do. I'm sure that's not Zack Snyder's fault. That's the fault of the comics. But I do think Zack Snyder should have given his own spin on the character designs. Then he could have made Watchmen into a newly loved and respected DC franchise. But this movie has faded into the abyss, never to be mentioned again, as it tanked financially at the time. But what's the biggest change I would make to this movie? Make it shorter. Onward is a near 3 hour movie. My God, you will need a watcher to sit through Watchmen. I mean, I couldn't even finish it on my first viewing. I needed 2 viewings alone to review this thing. I mean, this may be Zack Snyder's longest movie ever. People complain about the length of Man of Steel, but Man of Steel was a flawless 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's the standard length for most superhero blockbusters, but Watchmen pushed the runtime too far, and this is Zack Snyder's #1 snooze fest for me. This movie made me feel drowsy as fuck, like this. So overall, you know the letters M, E, and H in the title of this movie. If you could spell that into one word, meh, that's exactly what Watchmen is. It's just Zack Snyder's most meh movie, and it's one of my least favourite, if not my least favourite movie from him. I just have one more Zack Snyder movie to review after Watchmen, a Sucker Punch. After I will compare a Sucker Punch to Watchmen and see which movie is weaker. I give Watchmen 2 stars out of 5 meh movie. Thank you so much for this awesome request, Ben. If you guys have any movie review requests that you want to see on my channel, then just type them down and I will be more than happy to review them for you. Well, I love you guys. Thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And what are your thoughts on Watchmen? Please comment and let me know. Please like this video and subscribe. But please follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. And I'll see you next time when I take a look at Disney Plus. What shall I be reviewing on Disney Plus? You'll find out in my following video. And remember, movies are us. Bye, guys.